Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I dig into what the amendment does, I would like to praise the majority somewhat for some adjustments that were made. I know you probably heard from many of your own members. I wouldn't even begin to think it was a result of listening to Republicans, but some of the Democrats expressed concern about the repealing of the stepped-up basis and so forth, and you dialed that back a small bit. I will say that there are still concerns that I have. Rather than fully taking concerns to heart and leaving intact our tax laws around estate succession, the majority is instead making several changes to the death tax in ways which could have similar concerns for families across the country. And to do this, Subtitle I repeals the most recent increase in the estate tax exemption, scaling it back to $5 million per spouse, and attempts to paper over that by increasing an exemption designed to address potential disparities between the fair market value of ag and business property on the open market compared to its valuation if locked into current service. While I agree we should ensure land isn't driven out of production because of its valuation for non-ag purposes, we shouldn't misuse that issue to pick winners and losers under the broader death tax. Following on those two sections, the bill attempts to make other adjustments to valuations for tax purposes, relying on adjusted definitions of what property is considered active or passive. I received an answer to my question about this yesterday from Mr. Bartold. I appreciate that. He indicated that while there are many circumstances where farmers and ranchers would see little change, there are quite possibly facts and circumstances where they would be impacted. We should remove that provision from the bill if we can't ensure every producer is protected. I will acknowledge I would personally prefer we repeal the entire estate tax. However, creating certainty for farmers, ranchers, and small businesses with a strong across-the-board death tax exemption has had bipartisan support for more than a decade, and these changes undermine that balance. With farmland continuing to increase in value, by one estimate, there are at least 8,000 farms in Nebraska at risk of being hit by the death tax if the majority succeeds in cutting the exemption in half. That is the last thing we need. We talk about certainty and the importance of certainty. This undermines, the bill itself undermines the certainty that is necessary for those folks, those producers who are trying to make plans, plan their estates, and carry out efficient and effective operations, and especially in trying to keep these operations in their families. I just think we can do so much better by ag producers, small businesses, small family-owned businesses across the country. I've had a small family-owned manufacturing operation in my district tell me that the estate tax will devastate their business. Those aren't my words. Those aren't my opinions. Those are the words of the very operators themselves, the family-owned small business, maybe 20 employees. I think that we should be mindful of the needs of these small businesses across America. It's not just my district. It's not just agriculture. It is small business, small family-owned businesses across America that we can do much better by than the overall legislation. I would urge the adoption of my amendment. Now I yield back my time.